for the length of this video. There are some really good electrical concepts and just electrical work in general that I think are very useful for the average homeowner, and then also some pretty good construction information for the closet that I redid. I was trying to split these videos up into two different sections, but I really couldn't find a spot where it made sense to break it up, so that's why the video itself is a little longer. And as far as the electrical work, it does get a little more involved than I originally wanted to. However, I'm confident in what I did. Filming this intro about 3 months later from when I originally started the work, and the house hasn't burned down yet, so that's good. Anyway, enjoy watching, hope it helped you out, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Hey guys, Jason here. We have some electrical work that we're doing today, and so thought I'd kind of film this and show you guys what's going on here, and hopefully it helps you on some future projects. So what I have is our house was built in 1970, and very shortly after that the people had done an addition, added on to it here, and so I'm in the basement right now. This is the addition. It's pretty good size, and then there's another furnace and AC back here, and then a door to go out to the backyard. But what we're doing is this room was painted a horrible blue color. We've kind of done some different things here now. We're still waiting on carpet, but while I'm working on getting these closets kind of painted and organized, what we want to do here is a built-in with a countertop and a mini fridge and everything. What we're going to do is I want to put an outlet on this wall right here for the mini fridge, and I'll show you what this looks like on the other side. We're going to have to steal some electricity from over here in the laundry room. And so what we've got here is this old system here was just a timer and then a regular light. This light switch controls the main light here in the laundry room, and then this timer would control both this old vent fan here and then also the light that's above the sink here. Thankfully they had a big medicine cabinet in here, so I took that out, and I have some pretty good access to those things. So the way this works is with that timer on the wall, there is, let's see if I can get you close enough here. There are two black Romex wires here on the left. I do not know what those go to, but we're not touching those, so those should be fine. We're just using the common white wires off of those. And then over here there's the white Romex you see in the front, and then behind that is the black. Another black Romex behind there, that is where the power comes into the box. I determined that with by separating these wires and using a non-contact voltage tester while the switch was on. I've tested that since to make sure that the switch is, or make sure that the power has been cut. Now, to preface all this video, I want to say that I'm not a licensed electrician or anything like that, but I do understand electricity well enough to do this, and I am going to do this up to code as it exists here in Nebraska. So what the power comes into this box to control the light, and there's a switch on this old light fixture, or sorry, a outlet on this old light fixture, and then the white Romex there in the box is what goes to this fan. So we do want to leave the fan in place because with this being a basement, by code you have to have some kind of ventilation, even though the shower hardly ever gets used and maybe never will. we still want to leave that in there. So what my plan is, I have this switch cover here that has one side blank, and what we're going to do is leave this switch in place and then hardwire this so that it's constant power instead of switch. So that will cover that up, and that will be fine. Then what I really want to do is go directly to the outlet on the other side of the wall. However, I don't think I have enough wire probably, so what I'm going to do is take this white Romex out. I'm going to go from the power coming into this box. I'm going to take a Romex and run that to the outlet on the other side of the wall. There is one stud that I have to go through right on the inside of here, but we're going to run the power directly to that switch. Then we're going to come back up and add in a new switch here and a GFCI outlet. So we'll run the power straight into the GFCI. Then I'm going to run wires from the GFCI to both the new switch and the outlet on the other side of the wall. A couple things that are going to work to my advantage here is that there's like about a foot of like dead space in between this wall and the back wall of that closet over there. So I should have some room to work once I get the holes in the wall for the electrical boxes. And then the worst part is I have to run the live hot wire all the way through this down, and then another wire back up from the switch so that can control the light and the fan. So I mean, not the greatest situation, but that's what we're dealing with here, so we'll get started. Okay, so to get everything started here, the first thing I did was drill 2 holes into this stud here, and then also this hole here to make sure that I could, get to everything that way. So I do have this cheap camera that connects to my phone that I got from Amazon for like 15 bucks a couple of years ago. It's got a light on it, so I've used this to fish wires a lot. I bought the like $15 kit of the fish sticks off of Amazon one time, and they're just horrible. I was able to complete the project I was working on at the time, but they broke in the process, so I just returned them, and I haven't had a need for them since. This has worked, and then also just Romex is sometimes rigid enough that you can get those to where you need to. So I think we're going to be good with this. I am able to see the camera coming out here, so I'm going to cut this outlet hole bigger, and then we should have some room to work back there. One thing to keep in mind if you're adding switches or outlets, and in this case we would treat it more like a switch since there is one, is that they need to be a certain distance from the floor, and so in this case 48 inches is to the center of this, and so that's where I've made my hole at over here. So, and it just looks better when you're walking into a room to have everything at the same height. So we're going to measure everything out, make sure our box is level, and then cut that hole out. Alright guys, so what you want to do is grab your pin and a torpedo level and your box. Hold that up centered around the hole that you drilled at the proper height of 48 inches, and then put this up here, make sure it's level. Once you get that, then you can draw your lines right around the outside of the box, and hopefully you've seen these before, but the way they work is you've got these little lips here that hold to the outside of the drywall, and then when you tighten these screws down, there's these little tabs here that grab onto the back of the drywall and so it sandwiches that all together, and that's how they hold it into place. Obviously, you can cut these with a drywall saw, but you know, it just takes so much longer and everything. I like to use a multi-tool. I just have this crappy old blade on here, and so the main thing with this is just try not to go too deep. I know there's just drywall behind here, so, or sorry, insulation behind here, so I know it's not that big of a deal, and so that's what we're going to do. Alright, so went ahead and drilled a hole from the sheathing, or through the sheathing that's behind this insulation here. That gets me into that void that I talked about earlier. And so if we go here on the other side, I went ahead and measured out, or got the outlet level and everything to where I wanted it. And here's just an example of one of the kind of dumb things that happens. I didn't verify where the studs were back on this wall because they're not structural or anything, but they're here. And so when I put my outlet in here and started cutting, I ended up here about an inch into this stud. And that's another reason why, you know, it's always nice not to go deeper than you absolutely have to, just in case you run into things like this, because I barely cut that there. It's not going to be a big deal. So I had to move the outlet over an inch, and I have this little piece of drywall here that I'll just probably glue in place and do a quick mud job over that. Luckily, you know, that and these holes and everything are going to be hidden by the mini fridge, and no one will ever really see them anyway, so we'll just make it look pretty good and get that all taken care of that way. And then so I ran that little cheap light from Amazon connected to my phone, got that over here, and as you can see, there's the light coming through the back of the other wall. So really all we have left to do now is run all the wires and connect the boxes and everything, and then we should be on our way. So we'll work on that and be right back with you. Alright guys, it's the next day. Between taking care of kids and everything, I just didn't have time to finish up yesterday, so kind of go over some things that I learned and what I ended up doing to finish up the job, and let me know if you have any questions. So first of all, up in the light there, we had, if you remember, we had one white pair of Romex and then 3 black Romex wires coming into the box. On the left side, one of those was hot. Didn't remember, or we weren't sure what the other black one was to. And after checking everything out more, I do think that it goes to this light, which then kind of connects and feeds to the switch over here on the wall, and then also another outlet in this room. So as far as running the wires, what I ended up doing is we've got the new switch and GFCI here on the wall. So the hot comes in, the black wire, the hot wire from that is connected to the hot that goes to the light, and then also the black wire connected to for the GFCI outlet, and then also the white wire that goes to this switch over here. The black Romex that was on the right side went to the switch that was on the wall. I ended up just eliminating that because that was just a straight wire that went from that from the box up there to the switch, and so those are capped and put away and everything, so they'll still be there if we ever decided to use them down the road, but for now they'll just be kind of out of the way. So with those hot wires all together up there, and then also the white wire that comes down to this switch, the new one. So it's white wire coming to the switch, and then the black wire is the output of the switch, and that comes back up here to the light. So to make up the black and the white wires that come to the light here, that is the white Romex that goes to the fan. So there's the black and the white from that connects to the black from the switch, and then the neutral. All of the neutrals are together up there in the box, and so that kind of summarizes everything there. And then of course you also have the black and the white from the GFCI that goes to the outlet on the other side of the wall. I was going to end the video with that, but since I'm going to be doing it anyway, I figured I'd just go ahead and fill in with the rest of the project. So this will be spaced out over quite a bit of time, but might as well show you guys that as well. So here's the new outlet that I put in. I am getting ready to mix up some mud and get that little part repaired there. There's some older screw holes and things that I need to get patched up a little bit too. And there we'll eventually have the mini fridge and a couple of cabinets here, and then a countertop. There are these two shelves right here that were built into the closet. What I'm going to do is hack these boards off right here, then put another board on front of it as kind of a facade to make it look nice and make it look thicker, and then same thing with the top, and then that'll provide us two kind of nice looking shelves here. And then also need to eliminate this pole here. Alright guys, so did get the closet done and painted and everything. So we ended up going with some different lights to replace these old fluorescents that are in here. The lights that I ended up getting are these commercial electric LED flush mount lights. They're from Home Depot. They have a selectable switch, so you can change the color temperature for like 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000, I think it is. Just show you what this looks like here. So the LED panel is 50 inches long, and the selector switch is here. So you do have to bring the light down from its mount to adjust that temperature. So you really just, obviously you want to find out where you want it before you get it hung up. That one I did at 4,000, which is okay. I'm going to see what this one looks like at 3,000, and these also accept a dimmer switch as well. So we'll just kind of see where we're at. I might have to stick with the 3,000 and take that one down and change it back to the 3, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, real easy to mount these. I just wanted to show you all that since I'm doing it anyway. That's where the old light was. Got it disconnected. All I've done so far is put this bracket up, which is what that LED panel connects to. All I've done is just put the two screws into the electrical box there. So the next step is we need to drill holes that kind of allow for 4 more screws to go in to further secure it. So I've seen these anchors before, but this is the first time I've used them. They're just these twisty type with the Phillips head on the end there. So they just screw up in the wall pretty nicely. And then you just have 4 screws and washers to put in over that. Alright, so here's something really nice about these lights. I mean, first of all, they don't weigh much, and they really do make this so that you can install them with just yourself, just one guy. But they have these wire hangers on here, and then some loops up there that you can hook them into while you're making the wiring connections. So we'll go ahead and do this. So I had to hang it on that side because of the way that this pushes up and slides into the bracket. So we're on the other side now and just need to make the connections: green to plain wire, black to black, white to white. I always like to give both wires a little tug after you get those snug down. So those are connected now. We're just going to hook the light up on these. The way you do that is get one side in, swing it up, and then just slide it the one way, and then that kind of locks it in place. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Alright, so LEDs tend to be a little bit more on the white side. So if you took an older style incandescent bulb and compared it to an LED, and they were both rated at like 3000 K color, the LED is going to be a little more towards the white side pretty clearly. So now if you look at this, hopefully you can tell the difference a little bit. There is the light we just installed at 3000, 4000. So 3, 4. The 3 definitely has a little bit more of a yellow hue to it. Okay, so I took a guess and went with a 3000 because I think that's what my wife will want, and I really don't care all that much. I swapped this other one over. There are these kind of nice bezels, trim type pieces that you put on these lights, and right now I'm just going to leave those off so that I can take them down again if I need to. So we do have to put this switch in, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you that. Alright guys, so we're over here at the switch. We shut the power off, pulled everything out, and if you don't know how a three-way switch works, I'll try to explain it, but definitely recommend, like this old house has a really great video explaining it, but basically there are 2 traveler wires that go from switch to switch, and then there's a 3rd wire on each one. One of those goes to the hot from the box, and one of them goes up to the light. And with those all being connected together, that allows one switch to be off while the other one's on, or both to be off. And so what we know here is, and I don't know, depending on age of your house and the switch and stuff, this could be different, but in a general sense, newer switches, the top 2 are the traveler wires, and then the bottom one is the hot wire, and that's indicated by a black screw instead of gold screws on the top. So with this new switch, you actually don't connect the wires directly to terminals on the switch. It actually comes with the wires already out here. So we're just going to connect those up. The 2 red wires, well, one has a stripe and one doesn't. Those are the travelers. And then the black wire is the primary hot wire, and of course the ground here. So we're going to connect those up and be back with you. Alright guys, so with the switches, as far as I know, in a 3-way switch scenario, you cannot have a dimmer on each side. You just have one dimmer, and then the other one is on-off straight up. So that's what we've got here. Just if anybody's wondering or looking at certain switches or anything, I just want to tell you this Lutron company has excellent customer service. The lights said something about a triac dimmer compatibility, which I had never heard of before, but and so I called them to see if this was in fact compatible with the lights, and I mean the package said for LEDs specifically on it, so I figured it probably was. Called to verify, and they said it was. So I think as long as you're getting a dimmer that says LED on it, it should be compatible. So the way this works is it's kind of a personal preference thing, and you just have to decide what you want to do. as far as getting everything dialed in. Okay, so the switch has the normal on-off down at the bottom, and then the main dimmer there in the middle that you're always going to use, and then also off to the very side of it, down towards the corner of the camera shot there, you will see another black slider that goes along the side of this. That's when you adjust that, it sets your maximum dim and brightness. You kind of have to decide where you want that to be, because that gets covered up, and then you have to take the plate off to adjust that anymore. Right now it's directly in the middle, and it's not getting incredibly bright in here, so we're going to slide it up and see what happens. What also kind of makes a difference on this is that some LEDs are able to go more dim than others, and so you have to figure out where the lowest you can go, what point that is to where it is the dimmest you can possibly get without the light completely shutting off. And in this case, it looks like it's the bottom. That's kind of nice because that means we can make it very dark while still having just a little bit of light hue. Might be good for watching movies or something. So we're just going to leave it like that. Go shut the power back off, try to stuff all this crap back in the box here, and then we'll be back with you. Anyway, we're back up and running. Just a little note on LEDs, if you haven't experienced this before, sometimes if you try to turn them on when they're set at their dimmest level, they just won't come on at all, and I think it just has to do with the voltage or whatever. But so here's what the room looks like at the absolute brightest, and there it is at the absolute dimmest. So you can see there's probably more light coming in through the windows than there is actually getting put out by the LEDs. But okay guys, sorry I didn't show you more of this, but we did get the cabinets put in, so just to kind of explain a little bit about how that process works. So I believe it's pretty common that the cabinets are right around 35 inches, 34.5 inches tall. So first thing you want to do is find the lowest spot in your floor, and there are probably easier, quicker ways of doing this, but what I usually do is just measure up the 34.5 or 35 inches in several spots on the floor along the run that I'm looking to install the cabinets on, and then just find out which of those lines or dots would be the highest, and then that's after you find out what the highest line is from your measurement, then you draw a level line across the whole area, or as far as you can, and then you will need to shim your cabinets along that line to where they'll come up and meet it, and that's how you know they're level. And then the other thing would be leveling them from front to back. So the most important thing here is wanted to leave at least 19.25 inches between them, and that's standard size for a mini fridge. And so push these basically as close as nearly as close as you can to the edge of the closets here, while still being able to maintain the door opening without hitting the trim right here. And so basically the way I did this, I'll turn this around here, is first I set the level on here. I did it across the one side where you've got that totally across there, and then my level is not long enough, so I could only do one edge on this cabinet, and got that pretty level. And then I moved it over to do it the other way and got that pretty level, and that's not a true depiction of what you can do to place your cabinets and call it good from that point. But after doing that a few times, I kind of found a pretty good spot to where we were. Drew a little line on the inside edge of the cabinet here, along the cabinet right here, so that I know where my edges needed to be on both sides. Then once I did that, I found one stud, because these are only 15-inch cabinets, so there's no way I was going to get two studs, and one is really enough in this case. So after that, I took a small drill bit, drilled in here and here, that went into the wall a little bit. Then I took moved the cabinet out, took a larger drill bit, and drilled those holes a little bigger and a little deeper. This one over here is the one that's not in a stud, so I had to use an anchor for that. And then basically put the cabinet back, made sure it was level with my line back here, and screwed it in, and that's good. Then I started with this cabinet over here and did the same thing, all while making sure to maintain my 19 1/4 in there. So other than that, that's really it for right now. The next step will be installing the countertop. I know from experience before that it is not easy to get the countertop in here with the shelves already installed, so we're doing the countertop first. I believe found one of a remnant laminate, or I don't want to say remnant, but it's a laminate countertop that Menard sells really cheap. I think it's like $100. We do need to go out there and look at it to verify and make sure it's actually the right color and that it's going to look okay. But I think that's what we're going to go with, so I'll show you that when we get there. Alright guys, it's a new day. We got the countertop in, just ended up getting like a laminate thing from Menards. It was like $130 or whatever. So we're going to cut it today. From one side of the closet to the other, it ends up being about 63 inches. So we're just going to go a little bit less than that. And what I'm hoping is that when I put it in here, I can kind of put the one end down in this opening here, while I kind of wedge it up into the upper right, and then we can lay it down. I just measured here, and to do that it is going to be a little tight, so I honestly might have to unscrew this cabinet to even get the countertop in here, but I guess time will tell on that, and we'll see. But we're going to go cut it. I absolutely hate this because you only get one shot at it, otherwise it's a $130 mistake, so I guess we'll give it our best shot and hope for the best. Okay, so pros and cons to doing this on either side. In my case, right now I want the fence on my right so that I can catch this piece and make sure that it doesn't move too much and rip the laminate. The downside to that is that I have to watch out for the battery and the rest of the motor and the saw and everything here. And so what's going to happen, what did happen is I started out here and I hit the clamp. So I taped this in a few spots, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be good enough to get through it without losing my line. And you know, it's stable at that end with that clamp, so, and I won't be able to go all the way through because of this lip right here, so I'm just going to have to eyeball that and hope that I get it right, and then we'll have to come back and finish this part here. So we'll try that out and be right back with you. Okay, so we got her done. I think it's going to be good enough. If I had to do it again, I would probably advise somebody, maybe have somebody help you. I was able to catch that other piece and get it to lay on top of these clothes and stuff safely when I cut it, so that was good. Nothing came crashing down. Nothing got torn up here. I did get, because of the lip on the front down there, it did end up getting off about 1/8 of an inch, just at the first, like, I don't know, 4 inches in or so down there. So the good thing is that will cover up with caulk and shouldn't be an issue. and that's also why I cut it on that end so that it was deeper back into the closet. So we're going to take some more measurements here, see how this is going to fit inside of the closet. The good thing is I am going to have to cut off some of that end already, just so that just because of the way the cabinets are in and the fact that the end of the countertop will overhang the cabinets, so that'll make the air even less noticeable, I guess. So we'll take some measurements and be right back. One thing I found out I'm going to run into here is that the closet corners aren't completely square, and so mainly it's just the front side that's kind of a little bit open from what it should be. The left side I think is going to be okay because it's not really that much off. We've already cut the corner here for the left side. Couple things to keep in mind: make sure when you mark it that you only take your saw blade as far as it'll go. I ended up finishing the corner with my hacksaw, actually. It's kind of dull, and I just didn't want to damage the top of the counter, so I just kind of gently and carefully sawed the rest of that piece off from both sides. But what we're doing now is cutting the right side of the closet. So I've made my marks here, and make sure you get tape on any of the laminate face whenever you're cutting. And you'll kind of see here that I've got two lines. That is because of that corner not being very square. So I think what we're probably going to run into is when I go to try to put this in here, it's not going to quite fit because of that unevenness. So we might have to take a little more off on one side or the other, but anyway, we'll make this cut and then we'll be back with you. Alright, so we got our last cut made, and going to try to see, number one, if I can get this through the closet door, and number two, if it'll fit. I do think I might run into at least an issue on this front corner here. This is the one I was just cutting that I told you was not square, and I don't think I cut quite enough off of it, but we'll see what happens. Alright, yeah, so here's where it gets kind of tough. It does look like the main issue right now is this front corner here. As I suspected, it's really hard to tell completely with the way everything is, and you can't really lay it down, and you don't want to force it because you'll mess the walls up a lot. So I think I'm going to take that out, try to cut that corner off again, and then we'll see where we land. Alright, so we've got about 1/8 of an inch taken off there, right in the corner where this meets the edge of the closet. If you remember, I said it's not real square in there, so I tried to keep a little bit of an angle on the edge of the countertop there, and so we'll hope for the best. Let's see what happens. So that time it looked like maybe the back left corner was not quite cut square. It was the backsplash piece that I eyeballed, and it looked like I was just a little off on that cut, so I had to take a little more off the back there. And so we'll see what happens this time. No guarantees, but the wall is definitely going to need some work. Alright, well, we've mostly got it. Remember that back corner I was talking about? Yeah, it actually dug into the drywall a little bit, and so I'm going to clean that up with a knife and a screwdriver and just kind of dig that out a little bit. Obviously we'll probably need some repairs, but I think we're going to need some drywall work and some paint. But the backsplash is going to cover most of that and some of the other damage that happened behind that. if I was going to do this again, I would probably recommend just getting a flat countertop, and then if you want a backsplash, doing that yourself with tile or something afterwards. But this is what we got, and we're pretty close to being done here. So I'm going to clean that up, and then we'll get back to you. Alright guys, we're ready to get started on the closet again. Got all the holes and everything that were damaged from putting the countertop in. I got all those got spackled up and sanded, and then put a couple coats of paint on it again, and so we're ready to get started on these shelves. So what I did is, if you remember, we had the shelves already in here that were they were kind of held up by these little 1x2s, and those went all the way across the sides here, so that you could kind of move the shelves around back and forth as you wanted to. Since those were so long and we're not going all the way across, I was able to cut those in half and then get 4 of them here so that we can do both shelves with these. I did actually, I had it in my head that the face of the shelf was gonna go underneath the shelf, and then these were there, so I actually cut these like a ½ inch short. But we're gonna be okay because the front of the shelf the front of the shelf's like quite a bit longer, wider. I think they're like 3.5, and like I said, these are only 2 or 1 3/4, something like that. So we're going to be okay because they'll be hidden, and really all we need to do is just tack them in place with probably just 1 or 2 nails on the top once we get these in. But I'll show you all that here. So for starters, I already did this off camera, but I'll just show you. We just wanted to put these shelves kind of in the same area roughly where they were before. So I purposefully did not spackle the original holes that were there, so I could see where that was at. So for this one here, we just kind of eyeballed it, put it up there, took a small drill bit here, 3/32, and went right through the wood so that I could see where that spot was on the wall. Then took the wood away and went back through to make that hole a little deeper, because these drill bits are only like 1.5 inches long or something like that. So made that a little deeper for the nail, or for the screw, and then took this larger bit, which is 3/16, and made that hole a little bigger in the wood so that the threads don't grab that. Then after that, we've got this. I want to countersink these, and I don't actually have a countersink bit, so this is a big 3/8 drill bit here. So what we want to do is start this by going in reverse, and that'll give you kind of a nice groove to start with, and then just very gently pull this wood back into the drill bit, and then that way you can be very careful that way to not let the bit grab it too hard and go too far in. So that should be enough for the top of this nail, or top of this screw, to get right back in there. So yep, that looks good. Alright, so now what we're going to do, and these screws, I mean, just use whatever. Since we're not expecting too much weight on these shelves, I think this is going to be fine. These are only 1 3/4, so with the drywall and everything, we should get about a ½ inch into the wood, which isn't the best, but I think it's going to be plenty sufficient for what we're doing here. And this is what I had laying around, so it is what it is. But so for starters here, don't crank down on this too much, at least it's not the way I'm doing it. So we're just going to go into the wall, just kind of gently there, so that we can get ourselves a nice level. Let's just make a mark. whatever. And then we'll take this out. And we're going to measure that here. We know the countertop's level, so we can measure right from that up to the line. And it's 29 7/8, so that's where we need to be on the other side. We'll take care of that and be right back with you. Okay, so now that we have this back on the wall and level, got that side done, we're just going to do the same thing for the front screw. So got that screwed in the wall, this is level, so we're just going to put in another hole here. Don't expect there to be any studs there. So if you're expecting more weight, I would recommend some kind of stronger drywall anchor, the ones that you fold in half and kind of pop through the wall and then tighten down, and then they expand behind the drywall. Those are probably the best. I think they're rated for like 50 to 100 pounds, some of them. You only need, 3/16, or now that I know where that hole is, let's just take this back out. Once again, we'll make this deeper and verify that there's no stud. Yep, no stud. So I'm going to go find some anchors and we'll be right back. Alright guys, change of plans here just a little bit. I did find some 3-inch screws. They're just regular 3-inch with the number 9 Torx bit there on the top, and then I didn't actually have any anchors left. I must have kind of picked apart all the old ones that I had held on to from different things, and so I just went ahead and got these at the hardware store. They're just pretty small, the self-tapping anchors or whatever. It says you don't really need to have a hole or anything. We did make our 3/32 hole or whatever that is, so that's there, no big deal. So you just put these in with a Phillips bit and then put the screw right in them. I'm actually going to use the 3-inch screws on all 8 of the for all 8 of the screws that we're going to put in, because I just figure, we're doing this once. These are rated up to like 50 pounds or something, it says. So as long as you have those on the front and then we're going straight into the studs on the back, that should be good enough. So let's get started. I went ahead and did the countersink on the front here. We don't really need to worry about that so much since it's going to be hidden anyway, but it's there for now, so that's alright. Dead center. I'll show you kind of what this will look like now. Those will go on the face just like that, kind of giving you the illusion that the shelf is bigger than it looks, than it actually is, obviously. But you don't want to do anything yet because we still need to get the upper shelf in, and that's just not going to work if you secure this one in. So again, there's just an incredible amount of importance on the order of which you do things. This piece here, I ended up painting the other side before I finished this one, and got a run in here and stuff. But when we do our nails, we're gonna have to fill those with putty, and so I'll do some sanding on this to get rid of that, and then we'll putty it and sand it again and then paint it. So one or two coats again, and then should be good to go. So we'll get a little more done and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so we got the other supports put up on the top there, left and right side, so really just time to put our shelves in, so just to do that. And obviously it really doesn't matter which ones you have where, however, since I'm reusing these, this one has kind of like a, this one's got kind of like a bad knot mark in there, and so I wanted that one to be lower because then you can't look up and see it. And also, if you're cutting your own shelves instead of reusing, I would say these are probably 3/8 narrower than the closet, just so that everything fits in there really well. That when you tilt it there, that clears the support on the one side, so that's really nice to have in case you need to do anything as far as rearranging or take them out to make some repairs. So now we just need to put on the faces of those, because after we nail this in and then put the putty or spackle or whatever I end up using over the holes, we're obviously going to have to sand and paint it, and if we have to do a couple of coats or whatever, not that big of a deal. So we'll go ahead and attach this and go from there. So this is a P320 Ryobi nailer with the 3 amp hour battery. I have the power turned all the way up, and these are 18 gauge 1.5 inch nails. And you really just want to eyeball where you're putting these in according to a shelf. So I just match it up with my fingers on the end right there. The shelf is slightly bowed, so that's why I've got the drills up there, just to kind of help flatten it out for this step. The bowing is going to be kind of nice just to add a little bit of extra strength when we start putting stuff on there. But for this step, put those on there to flatten it out, and then I just try to get my left hand somewhat centered here, and then put my fingers on top and just match up the edges. Alright, well, since we're going to paint this, it really doesn't matter what you use to fill these holes. I don't think we're going to have any trouble with, expansion, contraction, anything like that. I do have this wood filler, but I haven't broken the seal on that yet, so I really don't want to do that for a job this small. So what I've done, I just took some quick set drywall mud here, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill the holes that way. So for these little holes, just take a little bit of my finger and dab it on there. Since I did countersink the screw holes, I'm going to go ahead and fill that as well. Obviously cause a problem if you ever need to remove them, but I don't see that being an issue, so we're just going to go ahead and fill those as well. So like I said, you could really use anything: putty, caulk, drywall mud, anything really to fill the hole, sand it down, paint it. No one will ever know. So in this case, should dry, be very dry within an hour, since it's really 20-minute mud, and we'll just give it a quick sand, and maybe, hopefully just one coat of paint will do it. If not two, it's not a big deal, and we should be really ready to go with everything, and just need to caulk the countertop and then get the fridge in there. So that's it. Alright guys, here's the final product. Feel free to leave any questions or comments. Also, please like and subscribe if you can. I really appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time.